Good morning. Welcome to Quantum's Liberty Day 30. Hello, birdies. Hope this day is finding you well. Here's some water. So this morning on the phone with me, I have Lynnsey, a lovely 10-year-old who is elegant and just very, very smart. So she had some questions about how we can use tapping to be really clear about what we can do to help the climate change, to help make sure that we can utilize our best resources in our brain, in our mind, when things are going on around us that seem pretty strenuous and overwhelming. So I thought we would start tapping. Lynnsey knows all the tapping points, and I'll go over them, tapping on the karate chop point, inside the eye, outside the eye, under the nose, the chin point, collarbone, under the arm, and top of the head. So we're going to start on the karate chop point, and we'll tap on overwhelm so that we can think clearly and make decisions, and I'll describe some of the science behind that. So what we're doing here when we're tapping, and follow along with me, eventually I'm going to have you repeat some statements, the 3 setup statements, and then we'll tap on immune boosting, lowering the cortisol levels so that we can think clearly and make some correct, wise decisions, and think about what we can actually do as individually and collectively to create a nice system for sustainability and for impacting the climate and educating our politicians as quickly as we can with what we know so that we can create jobs to reverse a product of global warming. Right now, the air quality is not so good, so it's not horrible, but it's still pretty smoky out there from the wildfires, so it might be a little scratchy, and it's going to get worse tomorrow. So let's talk global warming, and let's talk about, tapping to reduce cortisol levels so that we can do have our brains have enough oxygen to think clearly about what we need to do next. So we do know that tapping on this 5,000-year-old acupressure meridian endpoint, we know this from MRIs and EEGs, that and also from biomarkers, that tapping on this point will slow the neuron firing to the amygdala, which is where our fight-flight system is activated, and that would involve sending out cortisol and adrenaline so that we can react to like running from danger. So it's a very primitive system. So when we tap on this point, when we're feeling overwhelmed, say for instance, and it can be anything that we're overwhelmed about, from the news, from actual, climate change events that are happening to us, like the smoke from the wildfires, and so if we can reduce that sense of overwhelm, then we can think about clearly what is our individual creative knowledge that we can share with our policymakers so that they know what to do to help us collectively to do the right next step. So and I think what we'll do, so we'll tap on overwhelm, and we're also going to tap on that vision of radiant health. So this is immune boosting when we're tapping here on this point. 1 week of tapping and meditation will reduce, now just follow along with me while I'm talking. 1 week of tapping and meditation will reduce the cortisol levels 37%. in just 1 week, according to biomarkers. And that's a study in 2012. I think it was introduced at Esalen first in 2012. And so now we have by Dr. Dawson Church. And then we also have more biomarkers from different studies recently, 2016, 2017, published in the Journal of Neuroscience. And one is by Joergenson and, oh, sorry, that was the wrong name. Keep on tapping. You can tap on the karate chop point. I thought I had this all down. Let's see. It was Sapolsky. I'll write it down for you guys. Sapolsky and also Joergenson. And so what their studies were on what cortisol does to the hippocampus, which is the emotional, and also to the emotional center, and then also to the cells, including damaging the mitochondria, which is where our energy is produced for the cell. So to state what they say is that over time, high cortisols will disrupt cell metabolism so that excessive calcium enters the brain cells and produces free radicals, the most harmful molecules in the body. Free radicals trigger a range of degenerative illnesses and rapid aging. That's Macmillan. High cortisol also leads to dysfunction in our mitochondria, our energy centers of the brain. We then feel tired and our energy levels will crash. Cortisol, and this is what I really wanted to say about Sapolsky's study, cortisol kills neurons in the brain's hippocampus, which governs emotional regulation, memory, and learning. Right now, what we'll tap on is for immune boosting and also and the emotional regulation portion of the brain. It's so important that with chaos and overwhelm from the news, that we're able to regulate our emotions effectively. And we can do that by using simple tools also, such as the tapping and meditation, which has been proven by science to actually improve the emotional regulation volume of neurons in our brain, so that we actually have on MRI a 22.8% increase in the neuron volume in that area of the brain that regulates the emotions, and that is the prefrontal cortex, the striatum, and the limbic system. And that is a study that was 21 studies published in 2016. I'll write this down for you in the underneath in the on the YouTube. And that was Tang and Holszel and Pozner. So let's start next. So we've been tapping along, and we'll start tapping on the karate chop point, and repeat after me. Even though the news is overwhelming, thanks, Lynnsey, for bringing this up too. Even though the news is overwhelming, and I feel afraid and sad, I deeply and completely love and accept myself, exactly as I am. Even though the news is overwhelming, and it's very sad and fearful inside my body, I feel this rising up in me. I forgive and trust and accept and honor and love myself exactly as I am. Even though all this news is overwhelming and it makes me feel afraid and sad, I deeply accept and trust, forgive and honor, love and accept myself exactly as I am. This frightening news, this very sad news, this overwhelming news, these feelings of overwhelm inside of me, I want to run from them. I do not want to look at them. I don't like this news. I don't like hearing these alarming things. I don't like seeing these alarming things. I'm tired of hearing and seeing these things. I'm tired of breathing in this rotten smoke. I'm tired of seeing the destruction from the wildfires. I'm tired of hearing the stories of people's loss. I'm tired of feeling my own loss of being able to breathe. I'm so overwhelmed. I'm afraid and sad. The news makes me afraid and sad. I can't face this. I can face this. I can face this with calmness. I have the ability to think clearly. My brain neurons are building.